Johnny, what's up? It's Pink, Hot Rod, and L Train coming at y'all. Man, it's the T-Train show. Y'all know what time it is, man. What up, T? What up? Hot Rod, what up? L Train, y'all know what time it is, man. It's the Three the Hard Way. Cleveland's finest, y'all. The biggest and the baddest sports show.
Welcome to another edition of Three the Hard Way. You know who we be. We've got a special guest in the house, but I'm going to wait to introduce him. I'm going to introduce my fellas first. The host of the big growing podcast, The Locker Room, the influencer is what I like to call him, Mr. Hot Rod, Rodney Young. What's going on, Hot Rod?
What's going on, fellas? What's going on, Three the Hard Way Nation? You know who this is. This your friendly neighborhood coach, and like I always say, you may not like what I'm saying, but you will listen.
And as always, stand up at attention, the man that we call the Cap in the house, Mr. Terrence Austin T. What's going on in your world, man?
What's going on, Three the Hard Way Nation? What's going on, fellas? Let's get this ship underway. Let's go.
Man, I was really excited for this one. We have the superintendent of Warrensville Schools here to talk a little bit of Cleveland sports. Another Warrensville homeboy here with us. So the four horsemen are back together again. Mr. Donald Jolly. DJ, man, thanks for joining us tonight.
Man, I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to talk sports. You know, this is what we did. We used to, as kids, be at Lionel's house playing, what was it? NBA Live or something?
NBA Live.
Yeah. When it was like two men or something. We used to play back then. So, hey, we had a lot of good times talking sports, playing sports. So this is an exciting opportunity for me.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you being here, man. Before we dive into it, Hot Rod hit on it pre-show, but let me give you your flowers and all of us on here, man. The work that you have done, like I knew when you and I were teammates on the basketball court, the one thing I said about Donald Jolly is that whether you were playing sports, whether it was student council, whether it was just being a friend, you were always a great leader. You had that leadership ability. So when it came to surpass that you were going to lead Warrensville in an educational setting, I was not surprised. And then to see all the work that you are doing back in our community, you're talking about three homeboys from Warrensville that are not living there anymore, but we are so proud to look back and see all the stuff that you're doing, brother. We are so proud of you and all the work that you're doing, man. So we have to give you, a round of applause. Because I know of the undertakings of all this and all the hard work that goes into that, man. So we just want to say that we're really proud of all the work that you're doing.
Yep.
Man, I'm so appreciative of that. Again, this is just an extension of you guys, man. It was the way we were brought up. So the way we were brought up, it was a community. All our parents were very actively engaged in making sure that we had the opportunities for success. It's just carrying on that legacy of our parents and just trying to extend it to a higher level and understanding that, like y'all live throughout the world, y'all have left and made great careers and making a great impact. And that's what we got to set up the next generation for, so that they can either leave or stay, but wherever they go, they're ready and they're able to do some of the great things that you guys are doing. And even far beyond that, we need a president or something. We need somebody from Warrensville to be the president.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
Yeah.
So I think that's my mindset, is that we were provided a great upbringing. We had great mentors, great coaches, just a general and great people to go to school with that pushed each other to be better. Eastwood every day playing basketball every single day. Didn't matter. We played in the snow even, shovel the driveway, hoop, football, baseball, all those great things. And just trying to get our kids now to have some of the same opportunities and more. So I appreciate what you guys are saying. And again, it's just work and just giving back to the community that really, really helped me be who I am.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
I
and
appreciate
and Jolly, when you talk about legacy, man, when you know, obviously all good things must come to an end. When you decide to wrap it up, retire, ride off into the sunset, what do you want people to say about your tenure as a superintendent for Warrensville School?
Well, I think when it's all said and done, it's just that I gave my all. That's it. You know,
Yeah.
I gave my all. That's it. You know, when I started, I had a hair full of hair, and I was in the gray and nothing. You know, and I just gave my all, and that's all I can say is that, you know, and the place is left a better place. You know, and I will be amiss if I don't say this. Your neighbor has been very instrumental in any work that I do as Brad Sanders.
Oh, awesome.
Instrumental in every work that I do, and he's been a model of giving back, of a man who went away. You know, we as kids, and he was in the NBA, and we watching him. And then for him to come back and serve the community is just an awesome example. And working, you know, alongside of him has been a reward for me because, you know, most of the time the city and the schools don't always align and don't see things together.
Right.
But we've been walking side by side trying to ensure that the schools have what they need. And he has been supportive of every initiative, the new buildings, everything that we do. He's been right there at the table and pushing it to the seniors and all the rest of the community of the importance of our kids. And I don't know if it was like that when we grew up. I don't recall the mayor having such a integral role in education. And I say
Mayor Graybo. Mayor Graybo.
I remember Mayor Graybo.
way
And
back in the
I
day.
remember actually my grandmother was on the board when we were in high school, Christine
Wow.
Young. So I
Christine Young.
understood.
Wow.
That was my grandmother. And so
Awesome.
I understood everything. I mean, I had generations of people come through Warrensville. But let's not get it twisted. Donald Jolly was a hell of a basketball player. Let's not get that twisted. Okay. Whether it was in the street or whether it was on the actual basketball court, Donald Jolly hoop you up. And
Donald,
you couldn't stay in front of him.
Donald as a player, and I'm not just saying this because he's on the show, but I've got a good memory when it comes to basketball. Now that I'm a coach, I can appreciate the X's and O's a lot more than maybe what I did when I was in high school. But Donald was a force multiplier. Like, he really didn't care about his stats, but when he stepped on the floor, he made the other four guys on the floor better. Yeah. Because he was an unselfish basketball player. He knew the personnel that he was out there with. So whenever you put him out there, more so than maybe some other options that we had at point guard, I mean, things were clicking, man. He knew where everybody was supposed to be. You know, he had a really good sense of the system that he was running. So yeah, hell of a basketball player, DJ.
See, I got Jolly on the street. And so that was a little bit different because he was getting his. And when Jolly got his, Jolly told you about it too. He wasn't afraid to tell you about it. So, but man, we playing at Westwood, playing at Eastwood, man. I had nothing but fun, man. It was fun. You know what I'm saying? But you deserve your flowers, Jolly. So we just want to make sure that we, you know, give honor to where honor is due, man. We appreciate you, dog.
I just wanted to add one thing to that, which again sparks my work, is the elders were at the court. So we were playing against guys that was 10 years older than us, 15 years older than us, you know, and they gave back, you know, a lot of the, you know, you learn how to dribble by guys taking the ball from you, blocking your shot. You learn how to play that way. You know, a lot of now times it's not like that. Kids are all in the gym. They don't really be out in the playground playing with older people and getting those experiences. And some of those experiences on the court have been lifelong relationships because, you know, you play with this guy 10 years older than you. Now you go for a job and he's the manager or the owner of the business. So those relationships from 1981 and 82, and the guy graduated from high school, we 10 years old up there just trying to play, has, you know, compounded into lifelong relationships. So again, that's another love for this city, that the elders came back and played with us youngsters and made us who we are. So I'm thankful for that.
Man.
Yeah, man, for sure. Well, let's dive into this, man. Let's dive into the Cleveland sports scene, just like we were at the barbershop. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, man. When it comes to these Cleveland Browns, the dogs are barking right now for the Cleveland Browns. Lots of decisions to be made. Obviously, Todd Monken has a big decision when it comes to QB1. Looking at the preseason game this past weekend, I think this is probably the most efficient that Shedeur Sanders has looked in a Cleveland Browns uniform. I know he threw a pick, and people were saying, well, that pass was kind of behind the receiver. Man, catch the ball. Catch the ball. The ball was there to be caught. If you're a receiver trying to make the team, go ahead and catch the ball. But Shedeur, in the heat of the battle of this, who's going to be QB1? Will it be Deshaun? Will it be Shedeur? Shedeur showed up, and obviously Deshaun had a little bit of trouble second half and got into his emotions in the press conference after the game, but we'll talk about this. But fellas, give me your assessment on what Shedeur looked like to you yesterday. Cap?
I hate we have to start talking Browns, but I guess we have to get into it. Watson was 5 for 12 for a measly 36 yards, okay?
Yeah.
Threw that one pick, and he had 3 3-and-outs. He didn't look good at all. Look good at all, okay? Shedeur, on the other hand, was 9 of 11 for 74 yards and 1 TD, okay? Shedeur is trending upward, and Deshaun is trending in the other direction, unfortunately. Now, also, too, let me get away from that just for a minute. Man, I hate the fact that Alex Wright is done, okay? I hate that fact. Yeah. However, it looks like Mike Hall, I believe, is going to be able to step in and play for him, okay?
Yeah, he came with it.
Yeah, he came with it. Another thing that, looked good was, again, I like what our special teams look like, okay? I like what our special teams look like. And, I like, the continued great play of the 2 rookie, wide receivers. Now, let's get back to the quarterback play. Man, I tell you, Deshaun at that press conference after the fact, that's all that everyone is talking about at the national level. So I can just imagine what it's going to sound like in the morning when I get in my office and turn on the fan, what they're going to be talking about. And I don't know if I'll be able to tolerate it, okay? But bottom line, Coach Monken has a decision to make, okay? This is his one shot only as head coach to get it right. And I know he wants to go with the veteran. But after what, Watson said in that post-game press conference yesterday, I don't know how you can roll with him. Again, I don't know how you can roll with him. Like you say, that job requires you to be a leader of men. And I don't know whether, that offense, has faith in him based on, what he said. And then to furthermore, how can we roll him out in front of the home crowd if that's how he's going to show up, okay? How can we do it? It's, not every game is going to be on the road, which he will probably fare better. But in Cleveland Stadium, he doesn't have the ability to get it done. And it's so unfortunate because, again, he brings on more experience, even more talent. He's better, but he's not playing. He's not doing it. So the coach has got a big decision to make. I didn't see the game yesterday. I watched it this morning after church. I watched it this morning. I taped it. And I did not like what I saw, okay? I didn't like it whatsoever. But Todd Monken's got 24-48, the next 72 hours to figure out what direction he's going to go in, and we got to roll with it, okay? We got to roll with it. I hate the fans are booing him, but fans have that right. They just don't like the guy. They don't like him. And I think his time is up. So the coach has got to make a decision because Jacksonville is coming up right around the corner. That's 3 weeks away. It's here. Football season's here. So we got to do something.
So for me, it's I can talk about the quarterback position. I'm gonna save that for last. But I did like what Mike Hall, them putting Mike Hall at defensive end and having Mike Hall come off the edge. The only issue I have with Mike Hall is Mike Hall can't stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, now you might have something. The backups defensively, I'm not really sold. I'm not really sold in terms of our backup corners. There was a lot of gash plays that it wasn't even Josh Allen. It was another Allen. He threw for over 140 yards somewhere in there, and he was kind of gashing. But at the end of the day, it's preseason.
Yeah.
And so when you get to the quarterback position, I want to dispel some things is because that the line that Deshaun Watson had was the same line that Shedeur had the week before. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so let's not get it messed up. Okay. I've said this before that if the Browns are making a youth movement, which they have, then you take Shedeur Sanders and you see what you get from this young man. You're
That's
not
right.
going to re-sign Deshaun Watson, so why are you
Right.
going to waste your time with him?
Yeah.
I understand he was a Pro Bowler, but he hasn't had played in a significant game in a couple of years. He's coming off not one Achilles tear, but two. And then, like I said, and I'll talk about it further, you get into that press conference and what he talked about in the press conference, me having coached 3 different sports for over 20 years, my point guard is my leader. My quarterback is my leader. Okay. My catcher in baseball is my leader. And I'm expecting them to be leaders on the field. I'm expecting them to lead men.
Yeah.
And the way he portrayed himself, if I am coaching my offensive or defensive line or my team, they're not going to follow him.
Right.
So if Todd Monken makes Deshaun Watson quarterback, Todd Monken won't be around for long.
Right.
You're staking your career on Deshaun Watson. So, that's my take.
I want to
Talk to me, DJ. What do you think, man?
Yeah, so I concur with naming Deshaun Watson the quarterback. I think the coach loses the locker room. I think that example of him not being able to be in control in that type of situation doesn't reflect good leadership at all. Then also, when we looked at the 2 lines, like Rodney said, it was the exact same line Shedeur had the week before. You know, you heard people talking negatively about Shedeur, but one thing with Shedeur, he always has the possibility of hitting a big play. And I think that is why you have to put him in there, because he's always looking downfield. And as a young quarterback, he going to throw interceptions. He going to throw 1 and 2. But if the guys play for him, he hasn't played with the number 1 receivers at all.
Right.
So Shedeur hasn't been out there with Concepcion or Boston at all. He looked real good now for 11 last game. And that interception again I felt should have been caught. I think the coach really, really has to look at that locker room. If he wanted to keep the locker room, he got to go with number 2. Has to.
And this is where the coaches around him come and help him make that decision too. This is where, the assistants and all the, different discipline coaches get together, huddle up, say, hey, man, we got to get this right, and support the coach. They have to.
Yeah, this is a hard decision for Todd Monken, man. This is not for those of us sitting in our recliners and looking at the whole situation. The common sense thing would be go with the young guys, see what you got. Watson hasn't shown anything in the last few years, but understanding now, if you make Shedeur QB1, what happens to Watson? Can you continue to have him in the locker room? What sort of teammate is he going to be? Like, those are all the things that make head coaches, especially inexperienced head coaches like Todd Monken, kind of hesitate on making these decisions. So I agree with Cap, man. I think he's got to rely on his coaching staff. Yeah. Hopefully he's getting the right messages from his coaching staff, because I think it should be Shedeur Sanders. Now, Deshaun Watson getting into his feelings in the press conference, man, Deshaun's got to understand he's walking into a hungry fan base, and probably using the word hungry is probably understating it. Like, this is a starving This is a starving fan base. And so when you pay that guy the amount of money that they paid him, and basically you're not getting any results from that the last couple of years, I think you're always going to have knucklehead fan bases, people within the fan base that are going to cheer when you get injured and do some other egregious things. Mm-hmm. But don't try to blanket the whole fan base and act like all the Cleveland fan bases against me. They're taking this personal. Man, you have got to show up. So I'll let I'm not going to steal Hot Rod's thunder when it comes to his coach's rant, because I know he's going to have something for that whole situation, man. But Deshaun Watson has to get out of his feelings. And so, you know, that was the one thing that really surprised me. I will say this, fellas, that one thing that scares me about the whole thing is that when it comes to the Cleveland Browns, I always expect the unexpected. Like on Monday or whenever this announcement is made, I expect it to be Shedeur Sanders. But I'm telling you, man, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Deshaun Watson as QB1 to start the season.
And based on the fact that we don't know how Deshaun with his fragile ego would take not being the starter, I'm sure that may be into consideration, okay? He may get the starting position, but be on a very, very, very short leash, okay? Now, it's good that we're starting off on the road down in Duval County, okay, against the Jaguars. And that may be ideal, okay? That may be ideal. And then I think the second game is across the other side of the state in Tampa, going there. So I think the first two games are on the road, which may, benefit, okay? Because again, my concern is him playing in front of us, our fan base. So, the coach may say, hey, again, I want to go with the veteran. I want to go with the guy with experience to open up the season, okay? However, he'll be on a very, very short leash and then go there. And then on the other hand, what Watson displayed last year when he was hurt holding the clipboard, helping, Shedeur, I don't think he'll be a disruptor in the locker room. I don't think, he'll do anything to kind of, make things, be off kilter because he's already gotten paid. He's got his money. I think the media more so than anything will instigate stuff. That media that Hot Rod often gets on, they'll be the ones that'll do all the instigating and this and that. But again, I think it may be good to start with, Deshaun on the road down there in the state of Florida with a short leash and then just see, how it goes from there. So
they got to think about them ticket sales. You bringing Deshaun back here.
Yes,
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it is about money. You're right.
And they trying to open that stadium in Brook Park. They're not trying to take the Deshaun Watson into the stadium in Brook Park. They're not trying to do that.
Right.
No.
I got I'm looking at the mailbag here. We got Keith from Parma. He wants to ask three the hard way. Hey fellas, with Myles Garrett being gone, how much do you expect that to affect the defense going into the season?
I got a real.
Go ahead, DJ. I
just got an unpopular take. I don't believe it's going to affect us at all. I think Myles Garrett, in my opinion, was just playing for sacks. I think he's very effective playing for sacks, but we only won 5 games.
Right.
I think you get this new guy, Verse, who's a very hungry guy. I think the schemes is going to be very aggressive, and I think that we win more games than 5, and the impact of Myles Garrett will be minimal.
I agree with DJ. I agree.
And it ain't an unpopular opinion. You know why? Because I say the same thing. Here's the thing. Is that I said you could have a better team addition through subtraction. And let's not forget, Myles Garrett didn't want to be there in the first place.
Right. Didn't want to be there.
Until Jimmy Haslam gave him 40 million reasons to hang around. So he took the money. Okay. He got the sack record. Well, Jadeveon Clowney told you when he was here before that they were scheming for just Myles Garrett to get sacks. Okay.
Yep.
I've told y'all since day one, Myles Garrett is not a leader. He's never been a leader. He's one hell of a football player.
Right.
But he's not somebody that's going to lead your football team.
Right.
So Jared Verse, if y'all have paid attention to him, he's come in, he's taken the rings, he took Spencer Fano, teaching Fano what he needs to know, and then testing Fano by getting Fano to fight him. Listen.
There you go.
I said it's going to be a double-digit sack year for Jared Verse, and I believe that. I believe he's going to be in that double-digit of sacks, but you need that leadership, and it falls back to Deshaun Watson. You need somebody that's going to be able to, when you're in that huddle, look in that guy's eyes and say, I'm going to run through a wall for this dude, and he does not have that look. But the defense is going to still be top 10 without Myles Garrett, but, it's going to be a little bit because you got a new defensive coordinator. You don't have Jim Schwartz. So there's going to be a little bit of drop-off, but not a whole lot.
Right. And then remember, too, Hot Rod, what those former teammates of his in L.A. said about Verse. They hated to lose that guy, okay? And they love playing with him. And he's been gone for over a month, and they're still speaking highly of him, okay? So that says a lot, man. That says a whole lot.
And you ain't heard nothing about Myles out there, have you? No.
Nope.
Exactly.
Nope. Verse seems to be all in, man. When you're watching like all of the stuff, see, I like to watch body language, outside of play on the field, and he seems to be all in. He's going up to some of the young guys, high-fiving guys. He seems to be really enthusiastic when he's not on the field. I like seeing that type of stuff, man. That stuff creates a lot of chemistry. And like you fellas just said, he wants to be there. He wants to be there. So I think when you look at Verse, I think he's going to be a great addition to the team. And I think this Cleveland Browns defense is going to be, I agree with you, Hot Rod. Safe bet would be top 10, but I think it has the potential to be even higher than that. I think it's going to look different.
Yeah.
I think it's going to look different, but I think the effectiveness on the defense is something that the Cleveland Browns is going to have to hang their hats on, man. So I think that is going to be one of the strong parts of this team. I'm going to read one more. Dean from Wyoming, who's a supplanted Clevelandite, all the way out there in Wyoming, wants to know, do we think the offensive line is going to hold up, fellas? Will the offensive line hold up throughout the season?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about that because you got a bunch of new guys playing together for the first time, okay? So that's still a work in progress, all right? That's still a work in progress. Who's going to be on the left end, who's going to be on the right end, who's going to be at center. So that's still a concern, but a work in progress. But we knew that going into the offseason, so that's why, the organization did what they did, to improve things on the offensive line, along with improving at wide receiver. So again, it's a work in progress because you got a new group of guys playing for the first time alongside of one another. And that's why Andrew Berry had to address that.
Well, that's what he did. I mean, you figure he replaced all 5 guys.
Right.
But you have to understand that with offensive line work, it's going to take time for him to gel. Okay, especially when you get those 5 guys in, and then one of those guys is a rookie. Okay, so and he's being thrown in the fire at left tackle. All right, then you're hoping that DeJuan Jones stays healthy, and you're hoping that a couple of the other draft picks will can pick up speed. So that's really what I'm looking at. Because of this offensive line, they seem to be pretty good in pass pro. I'm looking at them when it comes to the run game because Junkins is going to run for 1,000 yards this year. It's just going to happen. But that offensive line has got to be stout enough. You saw yesterday, even with the second unit offensive line, they gave Shedeur incredible amounts of time.
They did.
Yeah, they did.
Throw the football.
They did.
Okay, so once they really figure out who that starting 5 is, and those guys get into games and start gelling, I think that offensive line is going to turn around. What you think, Jolly?
Yeah, I think so too. I think the line, when you replace the whole line, and you pay the amount of money that they pay for some of those guys, it has to pay off. Also, their coach, the line coach, is a real respected line coach who has a phenomenal, I think his name George something. He has a phenomenal background in developing lines. So I believe the investment has been placed there. The quarterbacks, Shedeur getting rid of the ball faster, whoever the quarterback getting rid of the ball. And then once you introduce that run game with Junkins, and the other guy looked good too. Dylan Sampson looked good.
Oh, man. Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
he plays hard. He plays hard.
Yeah.
And you put those little screens
You're talking
in.
about George Warhop is the offensive line coach. Yeah. Yeah. That's the key. That's the key because he had that offensive line with the Ravens behind Lamar Jackson. Okay. So, as I said, it's just going to take time for that offensive line to gel. You just hope you need to get those 5 guys together. Hopefully, like I said, Coach Monken gives you the starting quarterback and also your starting offensive line. And then these guys can now go into that last preseason game and start going into game 1 and get that cohesiveness to be able to go into Jacksonville and go ahead and do some things.
Hey, Hot Rod, is it fair to say that the last game in the preseason is really a dress rehearsal for week 1? Is it fair to say that? Okay.
Absolutely. It's very fair to say that. I mean, if the starters play, it'll definitely be a series and no more than a series. Because the one thing you don't want to do is risk injury. You also have to look at on the defensive side of the ball. That's what's killing them right now is because you don't have Carson Schlesinger, okay? Because Schlesinger's been hurt pretty much throughout the entire camp. You don't have Denzel Ward because you don't want Denzel Ward to get hurt or Tyson Campbell. You don't want those guys to get hurt. McNeil Warren has been getting reps at safety because Grant Delpit hasn't really been working out, because they're trying to conserve energy in their veterans. So when they get into the season, then them guys are going to really go. So they're just really playing it cautious. But that last preseason game, you shouldn't see the starters more than a series. That's it.
Yeah, and the NFL has gravitated toward over the years. Back when we were young, you had the starters playing into the third quarter in that last preseason game when there was like 4 preseason games.
Yeah.
Now you really don't see any starters, that last preseason game. But I think the Cleveland Browns are going to be a little bit different. I think whoever QB1 is, Todd Monken has already said, hey, they need the reps. In a perfect world, we probably could have made the decision a little bit earlier just to give QB1 more reps. So I think, if it's Deshaun or if it's Shedeur, it's going to be about getting that quarterback that last reps before they have to go in and play week 1. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Cleveland Browns handle that because this is a very unique situation. And I think ideally, it's a little bit late in the game. I know Todd Monken has had a tough decision to make, man, but I wish he could have made this decision a little bit earlier, just so he could give whoever QB1 is the reps that they need. But we'll see how it plays out, man. I think once the quarterback decision is made, I think the Cleveland Browns can start heading in the direction that they want to head in for the rest of the season. Again, I think they're going to be one of the surprise teams of the league. I think they're going to surprise a lot of people out there. I don't think a lot of people expect much from the Browns, but I think they're going to be much better last year. They're getting better coaching. You guys know how I feel about Kevin Stefanski. They are getting better coaching, fellas out there. But let's transition to the NBA. Cleveland Cavaliers, man, had a nice little trade. This past week they picked up Peyton Watson. Obviously, LeBron chose to go to Philly, and there was a lot of rumors out there about who they would get to fill that small forward spot. They chose Peyton Watson, man. Peyton Watson, up and coming. Small forward, 6'8", 7'1" wingspan from the Denver Nuggets, averaged about 14 points per game last year. Fellas, what do you think about the trade?
Yeah, L-Train, they got him and from Washington, Cam Whitmore. I've seen him play up the road in D.C.
Yep.
And initially, I wasn't too crazy about it because I hated losing Max Strus. I really love Strus, okay? Because him and Schroeder gives you a little bit of toughness, okay? They give you toughness and grit and defense. So we gave that up for better scoring, better shooting, but we needed that big wing, like you said, okay?
Yep.
Now, I don't know whether it's an upgrade or a step back, but it is different, okay? It's different, and we will just have to wait and see. Now, granted, there wasn't much left to do out there. It was so late in free agency. There wasn't much, left. But I give Kobe Altman, credit. At least he did something. And then also, too, James Harden restructuring his deal, to free up a little bit of dollars. That helps, too, okay? So now we just have to wait and see. I still feel in the East, which has, gotten better across the board, Indiana, Philly, you still got Boston there. Again, the East is going to be tough, the Knicks, but, hey, we will see. We look different. We're all in with Evan Mobley. We didn't do anything to move him or Jared Allen, but really, Evan Mobley, now, man, more so than ever, you got to get it done, okay? You have to eventually be that number one threat on our team, okay? You have to be. So that's the way it is. Also, too, I think the coach should be a little bit on a short leash, okay? Because I'm concerned about him and if he's the man to get this done, okay? I really, really am. I like him, but the way he showed up, in that last series in the playoffs, just kind of takes me back. So I think eyes need to be on him as well, and I hope that he can get it done. But the Cavaliers look different, so we'll see. We'll see.
So Peyton Watson was in the 90 percentile from the three-point shooting from the corner. And we all know that Dean Wade couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. And we also know that Max Strus, even though he could hit the three-point shot, he wasn't big enough to guard the wing. So as much as I may miss Max Strus, I'm actually gaining a little bit more size with Cam Whitmore, not Cam Whitmore, but with Peyton Watson. And that's when Nikola Jokic wasn't on the floor. He averaged 22. When he wasn't on the floor. He's a catch and shoot guy, doesn't really penetrate. He can do it every once in a while, but he is a good defender, which that's what you needed on the wing. That's what the Cavs needed on the wing was a good defender.
Right.
So yeah, losing Max Strus and losing Dennis Schroeder, I get that. But if Peyton Watson can give us anything, that we need at that wing. No, it's not LeBron, and I'm fine with that. All right. Does it make them a contender in the Eastern Conference? You talk about them, but I still think there's more that has to take place. I know, Cap, you said, hey, we're we're sold in with Evan Mobley. I'm not sold with Evan Mobley. You know how I feel about
but the organization is Hot Rod.
I think Evan Mobley is at his ceiling. That's where I think he is. I think what you get out of him is what you get out of him. Okay, but the team has gotten better. Kobe Altman, and he saved some money, believe it or not, even with James Harden signing him to a contract. So it's just about time to see how these guys will gel. Plus, your bench is really young now. You figure Thomas Bryant is the oldest guy that you got coming off the bench. Okay. So you got a lot of youth that's coming off that bench. So it does fall on Kenny Atkinson. Because I said before, this is a year that Kenny Atkinson was out-coached last year. And
he was.
Single series.
And are you concerned about him going forward like I am, Hot Rod? Are you concerned about him
right now?
Yeah.
And it surprises me because he sat up under Steve Kerr. And I don't understand how that does not equate to what's happening in Cleveland, because all he did was the same thing JB Bickerstaff did. The difference is that JB, they were better defensively, where the Cavs are more wide open now. Now you got James Harden. That actually hurt Jalen Tyson, because Jalen Tyson was playing well till James Harden showed up. Then once Harden showed up, Jalen Tyson fell off. So it's just some dynamics he
stunned his growth a little bit. He did stun his growth a little bit.
But Kenny Atkinson has got to get it together, because if you want to be perfectly honest, if we look at that Toronto series, if Brandon Ingram was healthy and Emmanuel Quickley was healthy, the Cavs were eliminated in the first round, because they could not stop Scotty Barnes. Scotty was doing whatever he wanted when he wanted. If you'd have had a healthy Quigley, and if you'd have had a healthy Brandon Ingram, then we're talking something completely different. So I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna wait, but it does. At the end of the day, to me, it falls on Kenny Atkinson.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. It's definitely on Kenny Atkinson, because Kenny Atkinson he doesn't know matchups. He puts the wrong lineups in the game.
Right.
And then with this 3 position, you got to have somebody to play off the ball, because you got 2 guys that got the ball all the time. You got James Harden that got the ball. He packed the ball for 20 seconds. And then you got Mitchell, who do the same thing. So you got to have a guy who stands in the corner, who's able to shoot. And then the defensive aspect of this, because as they can isolate James Harden, and they can isolate Mitchell, because neither one of them effort on defense is championship effort. I'm very concerned about our team, because again, Mobley again has to step up, and it's not shooting threes. It's going to make him a better player. It's his aggressiveness and continue to press continuously throughout the game, not just in spurts. If he can learn to press throughout the game and go down in that post and shoot turnaround jump shots when we need them, and he can stop Scotty Barnes, we got a chance. Because I look at the other teams in the East, I think there's not enough balls in Philadelphia for 5 guys who need the ball. I don't care how good LeBron is, but LeBron James and Maxey and Jaylen Brown and with VJF's ground, they all need the rock. Everybody gets it off the dribble. None of them stand in the corner and shoot. So with that said, I think the New York Knicks is our biggest competition, because they play team basketball. Everybody know their role, and and the guy with the ball is the guy with the ball. I'm not really worried about Boston, because that is a big loss for Boston. Huge loss. And Jason Tatum gets hurt. And then Indiana might be a surprise, because they have, the point guard, and the point guard is mean. But collectively, if Peyton comes in, hits his shots, stays aggressive, and locks up the other players. With the young bench, I think Jalen Tyson,
you got to step up. Up.
But again, I think Strus and Merrill, who the same player, stunning some of his growth, because they the same player. Merrill and Strus the same player. They both jump shooters. They both play hard. But at the end of the day, when you need one, neither one of them can get you one. They can't get you a stop or a bucket. So now you exit one and you bring in Jalen Tyson. Then Malik Thomas looks outstanding.
Oh, that dude.
Yeah.
instant scoring coming off the bench. Now it's just up to Kenny Atkinson to manage him, put him in positions to score. I really believe Jalen Tyson could start or be the first guy, or the first guy off.
Agreed.
And then Daquan Tomlin is an energy guy that again, great coaches know how to use all these pieces to win. And you don't always have to play the best five, you play the best unit. And I think the Cavs got enough. If Mitchell takes another step too, you can't burn out at the end of the season. You got to, kind of pace yourself. But James Harden play every game. So I pray that he takes that beating he took last year, not embarrassment of a guy scored 13 straight points on him the heart and work a little harder on defense. And if he could do that and score a little bit in the playoffs, we got a shot. I believe we do.
Because October's right around the corner. October's right around the corner.
Yep. The coaches got to be great, though, like you said, DJ. The coaching has to be great. I like the Watson trade just from an X's and O's standpoint because now you have a guy that can live in the corner. And, people don't realize in basketball when you can use that whole circumference of the half court and really spread people out, man, there's a lot of different options. You can run off that thing. I also like the fact that he's played with Jokic for a few years. So you're talking about a guy in Jokic that can live in the high post. He's a great passer. So now you're going to learn how to cut. You're going to learn how to backdoor. And so he's going to bring a lot of those attributes to the table when he comes to the Cavs. Like, this is not just going to be a guy that's going to be standing around. He's a young man that's up and coming. And he also has developed a high basketball IQ as well. So I like to move just from an X's and O's standpoint. But if you have a coach that doesn't know how to use him, then all of his effectiveness and all his talents go to waste. And so I think I'm going back to what DJ just said. The coaching has to be great. Like, that's going to be the X factor in all this. I'm looking at an email from Sarah from Shaker Heights. She wants to know about the patience of James Harden. Should he be the MVP of the offseason because he waited to get his contract so the Cleveland Cavaliers could have as many options as they could have during the offseason? That's a good question.
That's a great point by Sarah, and Sarah hits us up quite a bit. I applaud James Harden for doing that. In addition, since he's been in the league, James Harden has made a boatload of money. Okay?
A boatload.
Yeah, he's made a boatload. So he can. I'm glad he did it. I'm glad he did it. Give him a standing ovation, and he did help us out. Because again, LeBron kind of had us hamstrung. In that whole deal. He did. Yep.
So for me, I guess I'm not gonna give him a round of applause because where else was he going?
You weren't going nowhere.
Let's be honest. Where else was he going? When they Jolly,
he wasn't high sought after. Huh?
When they saw what Jalen Brunson did to him, scoring 13 straight points, don't nobody want that on your team. And plus, he's 36 years old. Okay, but I will give him credit for this. From what I've heard, from reports I've heard, he did recruit Peyton Watson. He contacted him and said, look, you need to come here. We got something special going on here. But in terms of giving him a round of applause because he waited for $100 million, I wait for $100 million if I need to. If I know there was no place for me to go, I'd sit there. Listen, if you gave me $20 and a ham sandwich, I'll probably sit and wait for you at least 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? But, if people want to applaud him, because he waited for that, then bless you. But I'm not.
Yeah.
That's a big. He left some money on the table. He could have re-signed. I think it was 42 or something. If he would have came back on his contract, in these days and times, agreed. I got to give James some credit. I do believe he did it for security though, because he got the third year, which he wasn't gonna get nowhere else. He wasn't gonna get 3 years. He was gonna get 2 years or less, and then he got an opportunity to be competitive. So he might have got the money from somebody that wasn't gonna make the playoffs, where he just was gonna score a lot of points and lose. So I give him credit for just having the mindset to give a little to get a little. So he gave up something, got us really a young 23-year-old wing who can defend and shoot.
He can play too. He can play.
Give us an opportunity to win. It's just up to the coach now. It's just go back to the coach. James, you did your thing. We appreciate it. You got us a young dog on the team. Now let's go.
Yep. Yeah. So we'll keep our eyes on the Cavs, man. I like the move. Hot Rod, you have always said that you thought the Cavs were 6th in the East.
Mhm.
Does this elevate them just a little bit in your world now that they got Peyton Watson?
Yeah, a little bit, because when you look at the span of the Eastern Conference, and Jolly just said it. I mean, let's look at the Detroit Pistons. Cade Cunningham should sue the Detroit Pistons for malpractice. They've got nothing for him. Okay, they didn't pick up anybody for him. All right. Then you look at, of course, everybody wants to talk about Miami other than Philadelphia and talk about Miami and Giannis. I don't see to me, I'm not afraid of Giannis Antetokounmpo at this
and
stage.
They just picked up Clay, and that still ain't going to help them. They picked up Clay.
I'm not afraid because they got rid of most of their bench. So now they got to try to fill holes. Okay. Philadelphia is one Joel Embiid injury away from being average. Okay. To me. And so Indiana's the only team that if I think Halliburton comes back healthy, and you said this, Cap, if Halliburton comes back healthy, and they went and got Zubac
and Kelly Oubre, they got Kelly Oubre too.
Yeah, from the Clippers, they might be formidable, okay? But in terms of looking, and then no disrespect to the New York Knicks, they got a lot of chemistry. Mike Brown did a tremendous job with them, so you can't count them out. They could be, they've moved up a little bit, but am I afraid that because LeBron came over there, am I afraid? No. No, I'm not. If I'm the Cavaliers, I'm not afraid. The biggest thing about the Cavs, other than the coaching, and I hope you guys agree, is their lack of toughness.
Toughness, right, yeah.
They lack toughness. They lack toughness in big games. They lack that intestinal fortitude when it gets down to the nitty gritty. And at the end of the day, when you got 5 seconds left on the clock, who are you tossing the ball to? Who's taking that ball and who's scoring that ball?
That's right.
Who's the one that's going to take over? Y'all asking Evan Mobley to do it. I say Evan Mobley doesn't want to do it. You talk about Donovan Mitchell. Jolly just said it. Donovan Mitchell breaks down in the playoffs. He's consistently breaking down. James Harden is a defensive sieve. How can you fix that? That's the way he's been all of his career. And Jared Allen is Jared Allen when he's not even on the floor in the fourth quarter. So there's a lot of questions that the Cavs need to answer. Even though they made some good moves, there's still questions that got to be answered. But are they 6th in the East? No. They've moved up a little bit, but not a whole lot.
Great point. Great point. There's a lot of questions with the Browns, man. There's a lot of questions with the Cleveland Cavaliers. But the next team that we're talking about is arguably the best team in the state of Ohio year in and year out.
Buckeyes.
And we're talking about those Ohio State Buckeyes preseason #1 in the polls. Now, I think the Big Ten is going to be daunting, and I think you look at Ohio State's schedule, man. They've got a schedule that they've got to get through, and they've got to win some of those important games. Oregon's going to be tough. Michigan is going to be Michigan. Indiana's on the schedule. So you name it, the Buckeyes are going to have a daunting task to have a season that everybody is expecting them to have. But preseason #1, nonetheless, what do you see out of our Buckeyes this year?
L Train, with that tough schedule, I don't know, did you mention Michigan and Texas too? They're on that schedule, and USC.
Yeah, Texas,
and USC.
Yeah.
So I think playing a tough schedule like that will prepare us for the playoffs. So I think that's a positive, okay? Because there's very few cupcakes on that schedule. Every, week they're going to really, really be tested, which I think is going to prepare them for, come playoff time. And then there's a couple other names. We were talking before the show about Heisman candidates. There's a couple other guys outside of, Arch Manning and, Julian, saying for that award. Don't forget about C.J. Carr and Dante Moore, okay? Those guys are, Heisman hopefuls as well.
Yep.
But again, like I say with that tough schedule, that's going to prepare us for the playoffs. So my hopes is that we can just stay healthy, okay? Stay healthy, and I hope that, that loss to Miami leaves a little bit of sour taste that's still in their mouth and gives them something to fight for, in a couple weeks when the season begins. So I'm looking forward to them. I'm looking forward to, what lies ahead for our Buckeyes.
Yep.
Right. And so I'm going to say this. This may not be a hot take, but they've been They're preseason number one. They will start number one, and Ohio State will make the playoffs, but they will not be number one when they make the playoffs.
And that's fine. That's fine. They don't have to be. That's fine.
This is a really tough schedule. Don't get me wrong. It's the second year for Julian Sain. I think he's going to be a much improved quarterback. And of course, Jeremiah Smith is that dog out there on the outside, that ex receiver. He's out there. Brandon Ennis, who is a veteran receiver, is coming back. But as I told y'all pre-show, I want to see Chris Henry Jr. I'm really looking forward to seeing Chris Henry Jr.
You like him, huh, right?
I do. But I liked his father. Rest his soul. I liked his father when he played at Cincinnati. And so Chris Henry has really put in some work. Defensively, Kenyatta Jackson is gonna take over for Sonny Styles and those guys that left. They lost some people. They lost a lot. But I love the fact that they're retooling. I'm a big fan, of how they run the program. Larry Johnson, who is the defensive line coach, is an absolute legend. I love Larry Johnson. He has an ability to retool. And so Ryan Day, and then with Arthur Smith now coming from Pittsburgh, and now he's the new offensive coordinator. I know he's a run kind of guy, but with all the weapons that the Buckeyes have on the outside, you got to throw that football. So they're going to be in games, and rightfully so. The Buckeyes should be ranked number one. I just know that whenever the Buckeyes are ranked number one, there's always a hiccup game that they have right before the playoffs. It's always a hiccup game. Yeah. So, yeah.
I'm concerned about the Ohio State defense. They got 3 first-round picks off their team. They're only returning two starters. So, again, with this tough schedule, they got to go see Texas, and then Indiana. They got to go to USC, too. They got a tough schedule, and with a young defense, again, goes back to what Coach Rod said, is that inexperience, to me, might be their downfall. And, Michigan every year, tough game. Offensively, and I think, sometimes you get exposed, and I think Miami exposed our offensive line last year. I mean, they were just in the backfield every play. And, coaching, you find will work, and everybody will follow the same blueprint. So I'm a little worried about that because Miami destroyed our line last year, just destroyed them. And if, the film is there and you coaching against us and you have any type of talent that you can execute, that's a concern. So I hope that the line is shored up on the offensive side, and that defense being young is a concern, and replacing all those 3 first-round picks. Those are 3 elite players that were in the top 10. And you just don't find replacements for those guys, and we still got blew out. So
and the leadership that left with those guys as well, too.
Yeah, great point.
And I think with Caleb Downs being gone, I think that's going to be a significant hit. Don't get me wrong, Sonny Styles was really good, but that was the heart and soul of a Matt Patricia defense. You know what I mean? And so, and then you got to think about it, man. Kurt Signetti there in Indiana, the man can coach. Let's not get it twisted. The man can coach, and so I think they've retooled. So the thing is, the mighty Buckeyes, as much as I love Ohio State, nobody's afraid of them. Miami. Jolly just said it. Miami showed that. Miami showed that you can get with that offensive line, and you can put pressure on Julian Sain. And if Julian Sain has pressure, he tends to make mistakes. So.
Yeah, I like Jolly's take because not only are those good teams when you look at the schedule, but if you look on the offensive side of the ball on those teams, those are coaches that are great offensive minds. They are coming to get you. And if you are faulty on the defensive side of the ball, there won't be a whole lot of mercy out there. So the Ohio State Buckeyes are going to have their work cut out for them. What I like about Ohio State is that they're pulling coaches from the league, man. And I think Arthur Smith coming in is no mistake. I think the games that Ohio State has had trouble with in the past, over the past couple of years in terms of losses, have been games where they couldn't control the time of possession. And I think Arthur Smith is kind of a run guru. And I'm not saying that Ohio State is going to be this run-heavy team, but I think it's going to look a little bit different. They've always been kind of finesse. And I think Arthur Smith is going to bring a little smash mouth football back to Ohio State. Yeah, they're going to utilize their wide receiving core. Yeah, Julian Sang is a Heisman Trophy candidate. They're going to let him do his thing. But I think you're going to see the fingerprints of Arthur Smith on this offense. And I think it's going to look a little bit different. And I think in these games, if we can control the line of scrimmage and control the time of possession, we are essentially keeping the ball away from teams that can score a lot of points. And that's going to take them out of rhythm. And I like the addition of that coach. I can't wait to see how it pans out. But the Ohio State Buckeyes, man, I'm looking for them to have a great season. Let's transition. One of my favorite parts of the show, I say this every week, is Hot Rod's coach's rant. I know he's got a lot to get off his chest. So Hot Rod, don't hold back, man. Don't don't hold back. I know you got your coach's rant coming up, so I'm going to give you the floor.
DJ, he's about to go in, so listen up. He's about to go in.
DJ, he's about to go in on this coach's rant. What you got this week for your coach's rant, Hot Rod?
So my coach's rant is the Cleveland Browns, and I'm going to start right here with Deshaun Watson. Listen, after he had this press conference and he talked about how the fans were booing him and he couldn't get over it, and if it was 17 games on the road, that he could play those games. Let me tell you something. Having coached football, you cannot be under center on any team that I ever coached when you have that kind of mentality. That is a mental midget. You are a mental midget. You cannot get yourself together because you've been booed. Come on, man. That don't compute to me. You are a starting NFL quarterback and you own that podium. Oh my God, they're just talking all about me. They're booing me. They booed me when I wear my Achilles tendon. They booed me. Yeah, they're going to boo you. They didn't boo you because of your Achilles tendon. They booed you because you stunk. That's why they booed you. Cleveland fans are passionate. They're passionate about their football. And when you come in there and you robbing the organization for the money that's been spent to you, and it ain't your fault. You took the money. Get your money. But let me mention a couple people. How about Dwayne Bowe? How did that work out for him? He robbed the Browns. Hey, let's talk about Andre Rison. Wait a minute. Art Modell had to go get a loan to pay Andre Rison.
That's right.
So the Browns have had a history of guys coming in and stealing money. So they wasn't booing you because they weren't booing you because you got hurt. They were booing you because you were terrible. But I'm going to give you out. I'm going after the organization and Coach Monken because number one, they set you up. They set you up. They've been doing all this publicity about Shedeur Sanders, and then all of a sudden, now here you come. So now the Browns want you to be the starting quarterback. You knew you weren't going to be the starting quarterback. Todd Monken, why? If you wanted him to be your starting quarterback, why did you play him yesterday at all? He should not have played a single down. Okay, so you set that kid up. You set him up to fail. Now what do you do with him? He's still owed $180 million and you can't trade him and you can't release him. So what you gonna do? Put him on a PUP list? I'm telling you, it's just incompetence. And I want to believe in Todd Monken, but I want to see what he's gonna say tomorrow because my thing is you have to explain if you make Deshaun Watson the starting quarterback on this football team, then your tenure will be very short here in Cleveland. So do you want to put all of your eggs in that Deshaun Watson basket? If you do, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to watch you sink because Deshaun Watson is done. And that is my coach's rant.
Yikes.
Great coach's rant from Hot Rod.
I hope Hot Rod is wrong, but I don't think so. I hope he's wrong, but I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't think he's wrong,
I don't
man.
think he's wrong.
I don't think he's wrong. Great coach's rant, Hot Rod. Okay, let me bring DJ up to speed. What we're going into now are start one, bench one, cut one. So Jolly, what happens is we come up with different categories each week. We rotate around. 1 week is Cap, 1 week is me, 1 week is Hot Rod, and we give each other a category, maybe best linebackers ever, and then we'll throw out 4 linebackers. And you've got to figure out who you want to start. That means who you think is ranked number 1 out of the linebackers, who you want to bench. That's probably your number 2 linebacker, who you want to cut. That's probably your 3rd linebacker, and then who you would erase from the history books. So this week, it is the Cap's turn for start one, bench one, cut one. He told us last week on the show that he had something special for us. So, Cap, the floor is yours. What is your start one, bench one, cut one, erase one?
Okay, meltdowns. Biggest meltdowns in sports history, either by a team, a player, or a coach, okay? Like I say, last week I had to teach distress tolerance to the patients, how not to crash and burn in the moment when you come apart, okay? When your emotions just erupt. So that's where this came from. So my first example of such is going to go back. We're going to go back to the 28th of June in 1997 when Mike Tyson bit off Evander Holyfield's ear, okay?
Man.
We're going back to that night. That's right. Tyson was getting his butt whipped, and hey, he lost it, man. He lost it. Bit the guy's ear off. The next one we're going to go to, and I got dates, the 19th of November in 2004, the Malice in the Palace. We all remember that. Ben Wallace had enough, and, it ensued, and we knew what that looked like, okay?
Yep.
So the Malice in the Palace. Fast forward to January 2nd, 2022, when AB had a meltdown in Jet Stadium and took his shirt off and left the field. We all remember that. And that was sad. That was sad, okay? That was a meltdown. And last but not least, on the 23rd of February, 1985, when Coach Bob Knight, in the beginning of the game, it was the first 5 minutes of the game, lost his cool and threw the chair and acted a fool and got thrown out of the game. So that's my fourth one, okay? So again, these were distressful moments where either a coach or a player just came apart and lost it, okay? So again, Mike Tyson, Malice in the Palace, AB, and Coach Bobby Knight. So start one, bench one, cut one, erase one. Yep.
Those are good. This is okay. All right. Who wants to go first? Hot Rod?
Hot Rod's smiling. He's like he got the answers to the test right.
Yeah, I got it. So I'm gonna start the Malice in the Palace.
Ooh. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to bench Bob Knight and the chair throwing. I'm going to cut Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield, and I'm going to erase Antonio Brown.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Jolly, you want to go next?
Yeah, this is tough. This is tough. Ooh, man. Can I start backwards? I want to erase first.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to erase the Malice in the Palace. I just felt that was really embarrassing for a lot of people and people in the stands and so forth. I just thought that was awful. Cut. I like to cut AB, taking off his shirt and just running off the field. That was embarrassing for him only, but it was an embarrassing situation. Bench. I will bench Mike Tyson. I would bench Mike Tyson and biting the ear. Again, Mike Tyson, that's one of my favorite boxers, but it was just an awful situation. And then last but not least, what's the 1985? I'm sorry.
That was, let me see what you got left. Was that
Bobby Knight?
Bobby Knight. I'm starting that. I'm a basketball guy. So I dug that. Because we all want to do it. We all be wanting to do it. We all want to throw a chair or something. And I said, let's I thought that was I started that one. For being a basketball guy, that was it.
Okay.
All right. Oh, that's good. Right. Little different. Yeah, Jolly and Hot Rod's a little bit different. I'm gonna start Mike Tyson. Fellas, he bit the man's ear off.
Yeah.
Like that. I mean, the key word here is meltdown. That's what the Cap said. Not angry. That's just meltdown.
Meltdown, yeah.
You melting down, you bite somebody's ear off. You melting down bad, you do that. Then I'm gonna bench Antonio Bryant. Okay, taking his shirt off, losing it in the middle of a game while he's staying at Tom Brady's house. Tom Brady opened up his house to him, And, he took his shirt off in the middle of a game, fellas, and left. That is a melt.
That was a meltdown.
You couldn't wait. Like, you couldn't. Meltdown.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bobby Knight. I am going to cut Bobby Knight because, believe it or not, man, as a coach, sometimes you get those emotions and those feelings where you feel like you want to do something to referees. So, but you have to have control. I'm sure Mac and Chimes and all the great coaches of Warrensville had those moments too. I know I've had them, but you got to control yourself. And so I am going to cut Bobby Knight, and I am going to erase the malice in the palace. I really didn't think that was a meltdown. I thought that was a natural human reaction in terms of beer being thrown at you and how you would react and go up in the stands. So I will erase the malice in the palace. This was a good one, Cap. Go ahead, Cap.
Okay, I'll close it out. I'm going to start Mike Tyson. I never forget, that's when my introduction to listening to sports talk radio began. I never forget. I was living in Chesapeake, Virginia at the time, at the Score 1310 AM radio station. That night after that had callers calling in, and that's what hooked me to sports talk radio, Lionel, other than listening to your dad having it on in the backyard when we were growing up. Yeah, listening to Pete Franklin and all of that other stuff. Your dad would have on talk radio. But that's where it began for me. So I'm going to start with Mike Tyson. I'm going to bench the malice in the palace. I'm going to bench that. I'm going to cut AB's meltdown, and I erase, Coach Bob Knight, okay, at the end coming apart. At that time when Bob Knight came apart, like I said, it was the first 5 minutes of the game, and I think they were either up 11. Well, yeah, they were up 11-6, and he just had a meltdown, So there you go. So that's mine.
Start one, bench one, cut one, erase one. Cap, nice job with that, man. That was a good one. That was a good one. It's time for our parting shots, fellas. What do you got for parting shots?
I'll go ahead and start. NABJ conference a couple weeks ago. I'm sure we've all heard Stephen A. getting the thumbs down award. Okay. He got the thumbs down award, and he's just one of many recipients of that award. Okay. Now Miss Erin Haynes, who's the president of the NABJ, she, did that publicly. Okay. So Stephen A. reached out to her and said, hey, you blasted me publicly. How about come on my show? I got a platform. Come on my show publicly. And she said, no, we can talk privately. Now, again, I think Stephen A. earned that award. I really do. I think he earned it. However, I wish the president would have given him an opportunity to go on his show, publicly, go on there, just like how she blasted him. Stephen A., he does say a lot of sideways stuff, okay? And when he dipped into politics, he just opened himself up for scrutiny. He did. He opened himself up, so hey, you got what you had coming. But what sealed his deal was a couple nights later going on the Sean Hannity show. That killed it. The community is going to stay mad at you because you went on that guy's show. I have much respect for his grind and his work effort and what he's brought to the table and the number of people that look like us that he's, employed. However, he does, at times stick his foot, insert his foot in his mouth backwards. He does. So he deserves it. Again, I wish the president would go on his show, live, but she say, hey, the NABJ is bigger than your show and your platform. So I'm not going to do it. But again, you sealed your fate by going on with Sean Hannity, who again has nothing good to say about people that look like us. So Stephen A., too bad, so sad, brother. Too bad.
Good parting shot. Good parting shot. What do you got, Hot Rod?
So I am going to make my parting shot a celebration of Nicholas Jamal Chubb. He announced his retirement the other day, and hopefully he will go back. Of course, to me, he's a Cleveland Browns legend. He's an automatic legend. I truly believe in my heart of hearts that if Minka Fitzpatrick wouldn't have shot his knee out, Nick Chubb was on the road to the Hall of Fame. He was on his road to the Hall of Fame. He was a Hall of Fame, he had a Hall of Fame track, but just a great guy, constant work ethic, didn't complain, played with his heart on his sleeve. And so I just want to give my flowers to Nick Chubb. And I'm looking forward to what he's going to do next. I hope he stays in football in some form or fashion, whether it be a running backs coach or something of that nature. But, like I said, I wish the Browns would have signed him, before he went to the Texans, because he had that veteran leadership. I wasn't expecting for him to run for 1,200 yards, but as Cap always says, you got to have that man in the room. And I think for the running back room, that would have been Nick Chubb. But shout out to Nick Chubb for a tremendous career. He played, I believe it was 8-9 years, tremendous career, and nothing but the best for Nick Chubb.
Great parting shot, man. Great parting shot. My parting shot goes out to actor Michael Wright, who passed away. Those of you who are not familiar with Michael Wright, man, he was in the movie The Wanderers. He was in V. He was in, The Principal, Sugar Hill.
5 Heartbeats.
5 Heartbeats, man. That's one of my favorite movies. Passed away at the age of 70. So, man, I growing up, I was a big TV movie watcher. And so, some of these actors that are passing away now, man, gave you a lot of enjoyment in life. So I was really, really touched, and it hit me when I heard that he had passed away. So just wanted to send my condolences to his family and just mention, to keep his memory alive in terms of Michael Wright. So that is my parting shot for the week, for sure. Donald Jolly, thank you, man, for joining the show. Superintendent of Warrensville School, but more than that, just a homeboy, man, from Warrensville that we are super proud of. We are so happy and so blessed that you could join the show today.
Yep.
Man, it's an honor, and I appreciate this, man, taking me back to old times. Appreciate it being here and being able to talk sports. I love sports. We talk it every day here, me and the fellas, and this was a joy and an honor to be on the same panel with you guys. And I thank you and eternally grateful for this opportunity.
Yeah, man. Thanks for taking the time. And it's funny that you mentioned the NBA Live that we used to play down in each other's basements, because I was just talking to my wife about that today. I said, man, one of the best memories that I have hanging out with Jolly is playing that video game, because we used to get competitive down there.
We did. Wardell, God rest his soul. Wardell Sims, too, used to be over there, too. And God rest his soul. Yeah, he was over there, too. He's out with a good time, though. Good time.
Sir. Yeah, well, this has been 3 the Hard Way. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Those of you that are new to the channel, make sure you share when you tune in next week. Bring somebody with you. This show is growing by leaps and bounds, so we appreciate all the support. Keep sending in the emails. If we don't read your email on one show, we'll make sure that we get to it in another show. I know some of you have reached out and said, you guys should do more Q&As, so we will definitely do more Q&As as well. But keep supporting the show. We really, really appreciate it. Fellas.
And DJ, pass us around to your teachers, okay? Pass us around to your peeps. Yeah. Hey, and one other thing too, DJ, I see you from time to time on Instagram. I texted my card to L Train to forward to you. My wife and I, we have a bookstore. And if you would follow us, I would really appreciate it. We've been in business now for 4 years, and we do a lot of stuff in the community, okay? And a lot of stuff that you as an educator will be proud of, okay? That we do with literacy and stuff. So L Train will text you our card if you'll follow us on Facebook or Instagram. I appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.